In this neck of the woods, school has officially started. Woo-hoo! I used to ride up to my elementary school every day on my bike before school was starting in August because I was checking that cafeteria door to see when they were posting whose class I was going to be in. Is anybody else from that era? Comment down below. And even if you don't have kids, or if you don't have school-age kids, or if your kids have already gone through school and aren't in school anymore, I'm sure you can understand, or you have sensed that there's just kind of a different vibe that comes along with this time of year. We're transitioning out of those sort of fun in the sun, laid back summer months to a little bit more of a routine and a little bit more structure in the fall. And even though my family were excited about that, that doesn't mean that it comes without its fair share of struggles. We're getting used to pickup times or new school ending times if we have changed schools. We're getting back into our weekly Monday to Friday activities schedule whenever the kids have sports or activities. Sometimes it takes a little while for me to get used to that new evening routine and getting dinner ready, which I know sounds crazy because that's basically what I do for a living, right? I have a food channel where I share with you guys what is happening in my kitchen. I have a mission to give ideas that are helpful, that are kind and positive, and that are realistic. If I'm being realistic, the first full week of school can be really difficult in the evenings when it comes to getting dinner ready. So I thought I would turn on the camera and take you through my evenings in our first full week of school and give you some ideas, not just about the specific meals I'm making on those nights, but hopefully give you some other ideas for meals or ways to plan meals that would be really helpful during these first few weeks of back to school time. In the same vein of being very realistic, I actually filmed the meals I made each night for this video vlog style, meaning I just picked up the camera and started talking to you guys while I was making dinner or when I was getting ready to prepare dinner or as we were plating it up so I could kind of talk you through my thinking that particular time for that particular meal. But after each one, I'll hop back on here and try to give you a few more ideas and hopefully a little bit of inspiration, just kind of chat through why I may have chosen to do things that way and hopefully give some more ideas along those lines. It is Monday, and tonight we are having something that I have mentioned in several videos. I really like this meal hack. It is my 2-ingredient dinner where I take the meat off of a rotisserie chicken and I add in a little bit of a prepared dip. You know all those dips that you see in the deli, like spinach artichoke dip or like a bacon ranch cheddar dip, which is the one that I use tonight. I just mix some of that in with the chicken. It's almost like sort of a lazy lady's chicken salad type thing. What I like about this is that number one, it's very versatile. You can eat it a lot of different ways. I put it onto croissants tonight to make little sandwiches. Actually, they're pretty big sandwiches because they're really large croissants, but you can also put this into tortillas. I actually did that for Brick because he prefers tortillas. You can put it on top of baked potatoes. You can heat it up and have it with pasta or with rice. There's just lots of different ways that you can eat this. And it's also versatile because you can change up the dip to make different kinds of flavors. So I feel like this is something you can have many times and not have it the same way twice. Plus, these are ingredients that typically you can pick up at almost any grocery store. Like I have many times walked into whatever grocery store I'm driving by on my way home from somewhere when I don't have a dinner plan. I have purchased these ingredients and then I've just paired it with fruit or with veggies or with chips or with something easy to go along with it. So that's what we are having for dinner tonight. I wanted to include a meal in this video that is a really good backup plan. And what I mean by that is we all have those nights whenever, even with our best efforts to meal plan, what we had planned for dinner just isn't gonna happen. Maybe it's because that band orientation meeting ran long, or maybe it's because traffic patterns are just crazy as people are getting used to, you know, the pickup routines, sports being back in session. Sometimes we just aren't gonna be home in time to make that meal that we had planned, right? So I like having something where I can run into the grocery store quickly on my way home because I drive by a few different ones on my different routes and I can grab exactly what I need and have just a few minutes of prep time at home to get dinner ready. Another idea would be to grab a loaf of French bread like this and some cold cuts and some cheese, and then make like a big giant sandwich that then you could just slice up into individual portions and serve with whatever else you have on hand. I noticed that my Walmart carries like a package of Italian style meats that would be great for an Italian style sandwich, so you wouldn't even have to buy them individually. Tonight I am making a recipe that you are probably tired of hearing about because I have mentioned it so many times. I call it spicy ramen. The inspiration comes from a recipe over on Plain Chicken. I'll leave it linked in the description box below. And the reason that I like this meal is not just because everybody in my family really likes it, like there's never any leftovers. It's also one of those 15-minute miracle recipes. And I don't just mean 15 minutes of prep work or 15 minutes for it to cook. I mean, it basically takes about 15 minutes from me getting the ingredients out of the pantry and the fridge, cooking it on the stove, and it arriving on my plate ready to eat. This is one of the nights when I am going back and forth to the aquatic center 3 times among other activities, so I have very little time to throw dinner together. I'm not really doubling the recipe, but I'm going to kind of raise the amounts of stuff that I'm putting into it. I'm like 1.5-ing it kind of. I'm not doubling the meat. I have a pound of ground beef in my skillet here that I'm browning up, and next to me on the stove I have some frozen broccoli that I covered in hot water, and I'm bringing it to a boil. And as soon as it comes to a boil, I'm going to put 6 packages of ramen noodles in there with it and let it cook for seriously like 30 seconds before I turn the stove completely off. Normally I would add a 1/4 cup of soy sauce, but I'm going to use just a little less than 1/2 cup. Speaking of my swimmer, here comes one of them in the door. And normally I would use 1/2 cup of soy sauce, but I'm using about 2/3, maybe a little bit less. I'm also gonna put in probably about a tablespoon or so of this chili garlic sauce. You can use more or less depending on how spicy you like things. We like a little bit of kick in our food. I'm gonna stir this all together and bring it to a simmer while my ramen noodles and my broccoli are finishing up cooking. And I'm also gonna add in just like maybe a ladle full, maybe 1/2 cup of the starchy water from the noodles cooking into this. And then I just drain the pasta and the broccoli, put it in here, stir it together, and it is ready to serve up. That's it. Seriously, like sometimes it takes me as little as 10 minutes to put this meal together. Other 15-minute magical meals for us include things like scrambled eggs. And if I want to get really fancy with the scrambled eggs, I can throw them into a tortilla with some salsa and call them breakfast burritos. Also, almost anything that I can throw on my griddle. Pancakes are something that cook super fast. And if I'm using a pancake mix or Bisquick as a shortcut for making the pancakes, then I can actually stir them together really quickly. They cook in 1 to 2 minutes on the griddle, and they're ready to eat with peanut butter, with other toppings, whatever we want. My griddle is also really handy for making different kinds of toasted sandwiches, for making quesadillas. I can cook multiple of them at once. I can actually put them together right on the griddle, and then they are ready to eat right away. So that is something that I will utilize whenever I need to make dinner quickly. And in my opinion, there are some decent options for freezer to table meals, freezer to pan meals, freezer to stove meals. I don't know, I'm talking about the kind of stuff that you would find at Trader Joe's. I think they have a really good selection in their freezer section of meals that are par cooked or that are partially prepared in the freezer, and that would just take a few minutes when you follow the directions to cook up on the stove or in the oven or maybe in the air fryer. It is Wednesday. I did not cook tonight. I don't often cook on Wednesdays because typically we are at the church for various and sundry activities. I sing in the choir, and I almost did not film this night, or I almost just, you know, came up with something else that I could cook so that I could give you another idea. But I've mentioned that I try to be realistic on this channel. I try to be positive. I try to be kind and helpful. And maybe somebody needs to hear this, because this is a really good opportunity for me to talk about giving yourself grace and accepting help when it's offered. And those are two things that I tell people all the time, but I'm not usually good about reconciling myself to those two things. For instance, here at the church on Wednesday nights, there is a meal that is offered, and we can pay a nominal fee per person to eat this delicious home-cooked meal. So sometimes I do take the easy path. I take the easy option whenever it presents itself, and I just, you know, write a check in the dinner line and we eat a delicious dinner that somebody else prepared and that is very easy for me to clean up. And this is the case with occasionally picking something up. I mean, sometimes that pizza coupon arrives in the email on just the right night, and I know that it is kismet. And it's that way whenever people that we know and love offer to help us. For instance, somebody that we know offered to bring us a chicken pot pie. She said, I've been making chicken pot pies and I have some extras. I know that it's a busy time with back to school. Why don't I bring you guys one? And I said no. Because in my mind, I'm thinking, you know, I make food for a living. We have so much food on hand. I'm usually trying to send things to other people because I may need to move on to the next recipe video that I'm filming. So I say no. And now I'm thinking, why did I say no to a delicious homemade pot pie that somebody offered me in love? That would have been really helpful this week. So all that's to say, sometimes it's okay to give ourselves some grace and just get the 4 for $10 roast beef sandwiches in the drive-thru on the way home. And I need to get better about this. It's okay to say yes when somebody offers to help. It is Thursday and I just popped dinner into the oven. And if you watch my channel, you know that lots of times in the kitchen, I take the long way, meaning I cook some from scratch. I try to save a little money by doing some of the work myself of prepping things and cooking things in my own kitchen and from scratch or semi-homemade. But also sometimes a shortcut is just really helpful, especially on busy nights. So the meal that I'm making tonight is a prime example of that because I'm using several shortcut ingredients that helped me get this onto a sheet pan really quickly and into the oven so we can have it on our plates in about 15 minutes or so. Tonight I made a shake and bake chicken nugget with some gnocchi on the side. And my first shortcut item were some already chopped up chicken pieces. I have shown these before in some of my videos. I find them in the freezer section at my Walmart and they come in little half-pound packages. So there are 4 half-pound packages in a box and the box cost me about $11. So yes, I'm paying a little bit more for the convenience of having the chicken already chopped up, but some nights it's worth it to me. The next convenience item that I utilized tonight was a bottle of prepared salad dressing. I chose a Caesar dressing and I did go ahead and marinate my little chicken pieces for a few hours earlier in the day. But if you don't have time to do that, I think it's fine to just put the little chicken pieces in a bowl with some of the salad dressing as you are making them up with my third convenience item that I used for this meal, which was a box of basically shake and bake. It was the store brand of it. They have lots of different varieties and different kinds. I chose the Great Value Extra Crispy, and I even added just a little bit of Parmesan cheese to mine. So I just put my chicken pieces that I had poured the Caesar dressing over the top of into the bag with the shake and bake and mixed it up and plopped it onto a sheet pan. And to go along with this, I decided to go with gnocchi. So I just put my gnocchi into the other shake and bake bag that came in my box, put a little bit of the dressing on it, and then poured the other bag of the shake and bake crumbs and seasonings in there. Put that next to the chicken pieces and it is in the oven cooking right now, and I will probably use my meat thermometer to make sure that everything is done. To go along with this, I did have some vegetables, like a bag of mixed vegetables that I purchased at Sam's that I was gonna put on another sheet pan, but I might just get out the salad fixings tonight and let everybody fix the salad to go along with it, and that's gonna be it for dinner tonight. I also really like sheet pan meals because they're really versatile, and a lot of times I resort to them whenever I haven't done very much grocery shopping or I'm not sure what I have on hand, because there's such a variety of proteins and veggies I can throw together on a sheet pan and different kinds of starches I can use as well. Just in the past year, I've discovered that gnocchi works really well in sheet pan meals, and even tortellini, those frozen tortellini that I talk about all the time, I can throw those onto a sheet pan and cook those along with different proteins and veggies, and you've seen me do that in numerous videos. So where easy cleanup is concerned, I like the sheet pan meals because I'm only going to have to clean up the one sheet that I cooked the meal on. And I guess you could say the same about one pot meals as well, except with sheet pan meals, if I'm playing my cards right with foil and parchment, I might not have to clean up any cooking dishes at all. In general, crock pot meals usually require less work than other cooking methods, like if I'm making something on the stove or in the oven. But on particularly busy weeks, I'm going to think specifically about really easy crock pot meals, like throw and go meals that will be completely ready whenever we walk in the house, or meals that won't require me to make something else on the stove or in the oven, or maybe meals that have a limited number of ingredients, or maybe something that I can even start late in the evening and have ready, or that can cook all day because early in the morning is the only time that I have to put it in the crock pot, right? Not all crock pot recipes are created equal when it comes to the amount of time and energy they take. So for those really, really busy weeks and nights, I'm going to pick the ones that require very little prep work, throw and go crock pot meals, and I'm also going to try to select some that don't require any extra cooking outside of the crock pot. Thanks so much for watching. Pick out one of these videos to watch next, and I'll see you there.